Hi, everyone. Welcome. Glad you're here with us. I am Amy with GrowthZone Association Management Software. And on behalf of our team, we thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us. And of course, we're thrilled to have Jim Mathis of Reinvention Nation with us today. Bear with me here, but before we get started, I'd like to go over just a few items. For those of you joining us online, you should be seeing the presentation screen alongside a control panel. We have that on a slide coming up here. Through the control panel, you can select your audio mode and ask questions. Let's see, can we flip that to the next slide? And then you're listening in on using your computer's speaker system by default. And if you would prefer to join over the phone, just select telephone in the audio pane and the dial information will be displayed. So if you have questions or comments, feel free to submit them in the questions pane of the control panel. You can send your questions at any time during the presentation. We will get them to Jim and he will follow up most likely via email. The webinar is being recorded, so everyone who registered will receive the recording. I think we have a slide on that via the email address they used to register. So regardless of whether they joined us live, all registrants will receive the recording. Due to what I can only assume is high volume, our webinar platform provider has been experiencing some intermittent outages. So if things go south on us, we'll just proceed and we'll send the recording ASAP. Live attendees will receive one attendee credit, one CAE credit. The certificates will be sent via the email address you used when you registered. It should land in your inbox either later today or first thing tomorrow. And we'll be sending a post-webinar survey link with that email and would certainly appreciate your feedback. As I mentioned at the start, my name is Amy and I'm part of GrowthZone's marketing team. Part of my job is managing our social media presence. We're on all the major social media platforms and work hard to provide relevant information for associations and chambers with very little, if any, self-promotion. Hello to our customers today, Chamber Master and GrowthZone. We're so glad to have you. Others may not be familiar with our membership management software, and that's okay, but I encourage you to reach out and schedule a brief, no-pressure demo to see GrowthZone in action. The link will be posted here in the Q&A section, and it's on the current slide. Or you can go to growthzone.com where you'll see a link to a demo request on the homepage. Okay, so right now, GrowthZone's #1 priority is to help chambers and associations navigate this unprecedented environment, period. That's what we're here for right now. Over the past couple of months, we have talked to all of our customers or made an attempt to reach out to them. And after thousands of one-on-one conversations with chambers and associations, our team has learned a lot. We actually took all the information and built a compilation of strategic ideas to help organizations move forward. You should visit growthzone.com/COVID-resources, and there's a drop-down menu there that will lead to how to thrive after a pandemic. Take a look. There are dozens of sections, and apropos of Jim's presentation, there are case studies from organizations who've reinvented their value proposition. You can also learn how organizations have ended let's see here, we can skip forward a slide, have ended the one-size-fits-all membership by customizing options and how some have transitioned from annual renewals to a recurring subscription model, which is, of course, I would be remiss not to mention, one of the capabilities of our software. Again, this is for associations, and this section of the website is for associations and chambers, but also for the boards of directors to navigate the road going forward. So that's being said, let's get going. During this time, there are two paths forward: return to business as usual or leverage the chance to innovate. Jim Mathis is a certified public speaker and an expert in reinventing the sales process. He has spoken to hundreds of member-based organizations, and you can see an exhaustive list on his website. Our team is looking forward to what we call his humorous, no-nonsense approach. And when I was putting together the intro, he said, "Hey, don't talk about me. This is about me. This is about them, not about me." And so we say fair enough. And without further ado, say hello to Jim Mathis.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jim Mathis, and I'm here to talk about how to reinvent your membership sales, whether you're an association or a chamber or any organization. Remember, they can always beat you on price, but not on value. And by that, I mean I heard Clark Howard say this several years ago, someone will always find a cheaper way to do whatever it is you do. I mean, look at coffee. Starbucks, they found cheaper ways to, somebody finds a more expensive way or a cheaper way. Your goal is to enhance the experience for people who are your members and your prospective members. And I'm going to tell you a lot of things to help you with that today because my name's Jim and I'm your friend, okay? So let's get going. We're going to talk about today reinventing your sales. And to do that, I've got a little quiz for you. I'm going to describe a company, and when I'm done, I want you to you don't have to chat. I just want you to think out loud. If you're in a room with other people, if that's possible where you live and there's several people in the room, I want you to maybe turn to them and discuss this. I'm going to describe this company and you tell me who I'm talking about. The founder of the company realized that people couldn't always come to a shopping center. They couldn't come to a mall. They couldn't come to a city center. So he devised a way that he could sell just about anything. He sold products, you name it. He sold everything. And he found a way to ship it to people's doorsteps, right to their homes. He made millions of dollars and he reinvented the way sales were done. Now name that company. Who do you think it is? If you said Amazon, you're 100 years too late. I'm talking about Sears Roebuck. When Sears was invented, the founder of Sears came up with an idea because it was back in the 1800s. Sears was the Amazon of the turn of the century, 1800s to 1900s. He came up with a way that people could buy through a catalog. And if you're my age, I'm a baby boomer, used to get this thing in the mail every September that was called the Sears Wish Book that had toys and outfits and everything in it. And you thumb through it for 3 weeks looking at everything you're not going to get for Christmas. But you looked through this and you bought from the catalog. It was so popular that J.C. Penney picked up the idea of catalog. But Sears was unique in that you could buy anything. You could buy livestock. You could buy an entire house. There are houses all over the continent, North America, all over, everywhere, Canada, US, Mexico, that were Sears houses that were shipped in pieces. You assemble them sort of like IKEA and you put it together. You could buy barbed wire, you could buy fence posts, you could put up a fence, and then you could buy livestock. You could buy bathtubs, you could buy appliances, everything. But the problem was that Sears didn't follow where their people were going at the time. Sears in the 1980s got rid of catalog sales and they got out of that business altogether because they thought they were a department store. They quit following their people. They quit following their customers. They quit asking them questions. They just thought they knew what people valued in them the most. When the 1990s came along and the internet came around, Amazon appeared. And Amazon, again, reinvented the sales process. What's interesting about all this is, had Sears and J.C. Penney stayed with their original model, if they'd stayed with following the customers and where the trend was going, they'd be booming right now and you would have never heard of Amazon at all. Sears would have been the Amazon today, but they decided to do something different. And I want to ask you, where are the people in your community and in your chamber or your association? Where are they grazing right now? If you want to think cattle, where are they grazing? I was in Manhattan, Kansas several years ago, and a gentleman took me up the top of a dam that they have, an earthen dam outside of Manhattan. And there's a herd of buffalo up there, and I wanted to get a picture of them. He said, I can get you right next to those, Jim. I can get you right next to the herd. And I said, how? Aren't they wild? He said, nah, they haven't moved in a while. They'll be there. We drove up next to them, and they were iron statues. And he laughed at me like you're laughing at me right now. He said, we haven't had wild buffalo here in years. He said, those are statues. He said, the Army killed up all the buffalo because that's how they subdued the Native Americans. I said, you're kidding me. I went back and read up that night. He was right. Let me ask you a question. Where have your buffalo roamed? Have they roamed somewhere that you need to follow them? Because the Native Americans, the First Nations in Canada, followed the buffalo everywhere they were. They were nomadic, and the buffalo were their supplies of everything they needed. Where have your members roamed that you need to follow them? So we're going to talk about, I have 15 unequivocal laws of sales. Because of time constraints today, we're only going to cover about 9 or 10. But I have 15 of them, and I'm going to tell you about 9 or 10 today. If we have more time, or if I come back and do another one, we'll do the other 5 and link them up to this. But the first law in sales is the law of likability. You sell yourself more than your association or chamber. You do. You definitely do. You sell, just so you know, associations and chambers do not sell themselves, particularly now. No one is interested in membership right now. They're interested in what they can get out of it. People buy from people who add value to them. Now, that's a very key point. If you add value to people, you will never be lacking for business. You'll never be lacking for members. People buy from people that they like and add value to them. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever bought anything from anyone who argued with you and won the argument? Now, a little bit of my background, I'm a former Baptist minister. I'm in recovery right now. I'm still a Christian, but I'm no longer in the ministry. I do this now. And I realized one day when we were teaching witness training, I've never witnessed anybody and won an argument and they got saved. And I got up in church one Sunday. This is one of my last Sundays there. And I said, how many of you got saved because you lost an argument? Nobody raised their hands. I've never bought anything from anyone that beat me in an argument. I've never thought, oh, dang, you're stupid. I'm an idiot. What a dope I am. Now you've made me see the light. I'll buy from you. I've never done that. I've never sold anything because I won an argument. People buy from people who they like and add value to them. By the way, you add value to others by adding value to yourself, by doing things like we're doing right now, growing and learning, adding value to yourself and also liking yourself. That's a real key. I've never met a good salesperson, successful salesperson that didn't like themselves. And that's just sort of, that's something you've got to work on your own. But I love talking to salespeople. In fact, I speak on how to reinvent your business. I do growth, I do management, I do leadership training, customer service. Sales is one of my favorite things to talk on. And here's the reason. I've never been to a sales meeting when the attendees weren't eager to learn something new. And I think that's why I like it so much. You don't have to convince them to learn something new. You just have to convince them that you know something they don't already know or that they aren't already using. So I love working with y'all today, and this is exciting. Number two, the law of Colombo. I don't know if you're old enough to remember it, but there was a television show on in the 1970s. You can watch some of them on YouTube right now with Peter Falk in it. He was a detective named Colombo. He was kind of disheveled. He drove a beat up old car. He'd kind of walk around and he'd be in an elegant thing. And everybody's dressed in a tuxedo. And Colombo walks in like a leisure suit almost with an old frumple coat over, smoking a cigar. And he solved every crime on every show by asking just one more question. He always had, I just got one more question. In fact, if you watch the YouTube videos on it, as it ends, you'll hear, I got one more question. He'd be walking out the door in the last 5 minutes of the show, and you think, golly, the killer's getting away with it. And Columbo would stop and turn and say, wait a minute, I just got one more question for you. He solved every crime by asking questions. And here's why I bring this up. In sales, the more questions lead to more sales. Most people think sales is telling everything they know and spouting off and taking over the conversation. No, that's called a lecture. Sales is about asking questions, finding out information. In the last 2 years, I've had major back surgery and then I had knee replacement surgery. Both surgeries were preceded by me going to doctor after doctor after doctor, describing particularly the back problem, what the symptoms were. And no one understood me until one day, 2.5 years ago, my wife and I were sitting in a doctor's office, and he walked in, he looked at my x-rays, he sat there and he had 2 notebooks in his hand, a thick one and a thin one. He said, how much pain on a scale of 1 to 10 are you experiencing right now, Mr. Mathis? And I said, 0. And he looked stunned. He said, you don't have any pain? I said, no, I have no pain. I just go numb. My legs go completely numb. It's like a pinched nerve. And I said, I actually fell a year ago and I broke my right leg and I broke my left foot. Didn't even realize it. They were broken until the pain came back when the numbness wore off, and I just felt like I'd sprained them. I walked around for a week like that before it dawned on me I had broken bones. And he said, well, he said, this is not major surgery. And he picked up the big notebook, sat down, picked up a little notebook. He said, this is minor surgery. It still took 7.5 hours. But you know what he did accurately? He diagnosed the problem. If you're in sales and if you're in chamber or association leadership, you are a professional, and professionals ask questions. They diagnose. Go to your doctor if you've got some problem. If you can go to your doctor, if you think you have a fever, you're going to go, and they're really going to try to treat you right now with COVID-19 going around, and they're going to take your temperature and everything. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. There's always just one more question to ask. Now, when I do this with a live audience, my favorite thing, we're going to do this exercise a little bit later. What I always say is, where that question came from, there's 20 more questions to ask. There always are. You can always ask questions. I'm going to give you some examples as we go on, but the law of Colombo is asking questions. Sales is not about giving answers. It's all about asking questions, good questions, better questions. About a quick question for you. Who's more in charge of a conversation? The person giving the answers or the person asking the questions? Right, the person asking the questions. They're in charge of the conversation. Once the prospective member starts asking you questions, you're now on the defensive. You need to ask them a lot of questions, and I'll give them to you in a moment. Let's go on to the next law, the law of WIIFM. The primary reason a person, and these are numbered wrongly, I just realized that. I've been playing with this all morning. The primary reason a person joins a chamber or an association is to grow their business. The number 2 reason isn't even close. They've joined your association because they want to grow their business. They're not joining it for the betterment of the association. They're not joining your chamber for the betterment of the chamber. They're not joining for the betterment of the community. Oh, that might be one of their altruistic reasons, but they're there to grow their business and for no other reason. Benefits are what they're there for. And WIIFM stands for what's in it for me. I always tell people, I don't care what side of the Mississippi River I'm on or whether I'm in Canada or the United States, everyone's favorite station to listen to is WIIFM. What's in it for me? And your prospect, the person you're talking to, and your members now, your existing members are asking when it's time for renewal, what's in it for me? What have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me? It's a campaign year. You're going to hear this a lot as we get near voting time in the United States toward November. You're going to hear people talking about how have you served me? How have you helped me? Am I better off right now? Are they better off for being a member of your chamber association? If they're not, you got a problem. I was speaking to a group in New Mexico about 3 years ago, and a chamber leadership group, and it was an association meeting. There were some chamber people there, and there were travel tourism people there too. And I said, how do people feel punished when they do business with you? And one young lady raised her hand shot right up, and I asked her, I said, how do people feel punished by you? She said, when I walk into the room, I come to someone's business, the first thing they say is, oh, great, she's here to collect money. She's here to collect a check. I looked at her for a moment. I really felt sorry for her. She said, I like when I show up, them to welcome me and not think I'm here just to collect money or to collect dues. And I said, you need to change their thinking so that when you show up, they think, oh, great, she's here to help me grow my business. She's got some new thing she's learned at a conference or she's read in a book or that she's learned from somebody else in the group, in the association or chamber that's going to help me grow my business. You are in the business growth strategist business right now, whether you're running an association, whether you're a realtor, a home builder, whether you're a chamber leader, your goal is to help your members grow their businesses, because if they're not growing, they won't be able to afford to rejoin. Right now, look at the businesses that have been shut down and they're pulling away from associations and chambers right now because their businesses aren't growing. Right now, more than ever, they need you to help them grow their business. Number 5, which would be 4 if I had numbered it wrong, and I apologize. The law of process, and this is my favorite law. I came up with all 15 of these laws, okay? The law of process. What the law of process teaches us is that selling is not an event. Selling is something that we do over time. And the problem is most salespeople overestimate the event and they underestimate the process. See, we think sales is an event that happens right away, bang, and we're selling. We think this is it right now. Here's what I know about the differences between events and processes. Events encourage decisions. You go to an event like this, you attend this, or you go to sell someone and you think, man, so I want someone to make a decision to join now or to go out. Maybe you're hearing something already. You're saying, I want to go out and apply that right now, Jim. I want to do this. All right, that's a decision. But a process encourages development. You're going to learn in sales, if you haven't already, that sales happens over a long period of time. Amy and I were talking about sales funnels, and she mentioned it earlier that they have a sales funnel tracker for you that you can use. Okay, that's great, because you need to understand that at this time in your business, you have happy members. You also have members that are unhappy. You also have members that are just getting acquainted and just joining. You also have members that are not members yet. They're thinking about it. Maybe they're hot prospects. I have a way on my calendar that I mark people I'm contacting to asked me the fee, given me a date, they've got the money, I'm their top person they're considering, they're my hottest prospects. You also have people that you just introduced yourself to. You also have people that you'd like to introduce yourself to. And then there's people you haven't even heard of yet that are prospects for you. That's a whole chain of people. That's a process, and you move people through those processes. Another thing, the event motivates people, but the process matures people. Maturity makes sales motivation. Maturity makes sales, but motivation just results from an event, okay? The event is a calendar issue. The process is a culture issue. Your sales culture is a non-calendar issue. It's something you do that you build on, okay? And also the event challenges people. When you're having a sales event or something like this that we're doing, or you're making a sale, that challenges people. But the process changes people, and you cannot change with an event. You have to change in a process. It's over time, and sales take a long time to do. You can't make a sudden change in sales. Finally, I think the event is easy. The event is very easy, but the process is difficult. And you know how I know that? If the process was easy, everybody would be a sales wizard right now, and they're not. Most people enter sales thinking they can, bam, they can just slam the thing out. I, several years ago, offered to coach a bunch of speakers internationally. I had people from South Africa, Australia, the United Kingdom, Germany, call me on the phone. One in Southeast Asia wanted me to teach them how to be a better salesperson. I said, okay, here's the deal. You call me on the phone. You give me 30 minutes on the phone with you. I'm going to ask you a few questions at the beginning. Then I'm going to get right into what you need to do to improve your sales and get your phone ringing and make their phones ring. By the way, I don't believe in waiting on my phone to ring. I believe in making the prospects' phones ring. I told you I spend all day on process. I love process. I trained over 102 people. I quit counting at 102, but I think there was more, on how to do this. I said, now, if you will do what I said to do and see this as a process and do the process I'm teaching you, in 90 days, if you'll keep doing it for 90 days, you can call me on the phone, ask me any question you want, and I'll give you a full hour of my time to do it. 3 people called me after a month and said it wasn't working. When I asked them how many people they had called, it was less than 3 a day. It's just not going to work at less than 3 a day. You've got to call at least 15 to 20 people a day. When I'm doing selling for my business, I call 30 or more people a day. And if some of you have spoken to me before, you'll attest to that. You're not going to go, yeah, he calls a lot. That's what I do. When I'm not on the road, and I'm telling you, when I'm on the road, I call 10 to 15 when I'm traveling, because I'm constantly working the process. Do you know how many people call me after 90 days? None, because they saw it as an event, not a process. Sales are developed daily, not in a day. And the sooner you learn that, the less frustrated you'll be. I see people that think they can do sales right away and bam, do it. And if they see sales as an event, they're going to get frustrated very fast. If they see it as a process, they see that everything they're doing is planting seeds. That's what my wife refers to it. You're planting seeds for what you're going to do one day. What I'm doing now is planting seeds for what I'm going to be doing in 6 more months to a year to 2 years. Next, the law of the cold open. If you're familiar with cold open, that's what they call on Saturday Night Live when they open with a skit and they go live from New York at Saturday Night Live. The best cold open question you can ask someone, you walk in or you walk into their business or you call them on the phone. A friend of mine named Joe Benura taught me this. It was the best lesson I ever got. Joe Benura said, here's your best opening line. Can you help me, please? And here's why. Don't ask someone to do you a favor. Don't ask them how the weather is or how they're doing. My own family doesn't ask me how I'm doing. They just start talking to me. But everybody wants to help someone else. If you were on your way, if you were driving to the grocery store, because I know a lot of people are at home, you're not at work. You can't be because of shutdown and government restrictions. But let's say you were driving to the grocery store and you saw a wrecked car over on the side and a woman hanging out screaming, my baby, my baby. Would you want to help her? People like helping other people. And also, if you say, can you help me, please, it elicits a yes response. I don't want the person I'm calling cold to think no. And that's what we do a lot of times. When somebody calls on the phone, hi, can I have a moment of your time, Mr. Mathis? I've got the greatest thing you've ever seen since sliced bread. And I always wonder what they did before they had sliced bread, you know? I've got the greatest contraption here. I'll bet you have problems with your prospect. I'll bet you need to get more people in your sales funnel. They could do better if they just said, can you help me, please? I said, yeah, what's your problem? When they open it with anything else, I'm thinking no all the time. I want them thinking yes. Now, I'm going to ask you a trick question. What is the object of the first sales call, whether it's on the telephone or whether it's in person? What do you believe is the object of the first call? Now, some people say it's to find out more information. Some people say it's to diagnose. And remember, I talked about diagnosing a while ago. Some people say it's to sell yourself to the person. No, they're all wrong. The object of the first contact is to get the second contact, because if they're not interested, you're not going to have the second meeting to sell anything. My object the first time is to find out what they want by asking questions, and to say, if I could do that for you, could I bring around a proposal, or could I talk to you again in the next week, drop a few things off now, but let me work that out for you, because I think I've got something special I can work out for you. I never quote a fee on the first call, because that makes it about price. And let me just tell you something. This is in the notes. I'm just telling you this right now. If it gets down to price of membership, you've already lost, because they're thinking money. They're not thinking of benefits to them. Remember, we want benefits. And I want them, my best sales talks are where I let the prospect talk themselves into buying from me. Who have you used in the past? What have you done in the past? And I'm a speaker, because I'm talking speaker right now. We'll talk about your business in a moment, but I'm just giving you what I do. Who have you used in the past? Who did you have last year? What did your members say? Who were really great for you in the past? Who were really bad with you in the past? Did someone recommend? How did you find out about me? What do you know about me already? What do you think I can do? I've had people hire me and I go, why did you hire me? And they'll say, well, I heard this person or that person heard you at a meeting, or you've been emailing me for a while, or I read something. I saw one of your news. I send out a newsletter once a month. You'll find out how to get that at the end of this presentation today. In fact, this is going to be summarized. The whole thing about process is what the article is on the newsletter this month. And there's another article on my blog that you'll be able to get newsletter. It's all 15 laws. They're in order, don't worry. But what I run into is people that just say, here's how I found out about you, Jim. Here's what I think is special about you. And here's what I found out. I want to find out what they like. And I wind up saying, if I said, what would you like me to speak on? Well, I'd like you to speak on this. My members want that. If I could do that for you, would that be a benefit to you? And they'll say, well, yeah. I say, oh, when can I talk to you about that? See, I let them talk themselves into it. Law number 7, the law of the Rosetta Stone. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with the Rosetta Stone. I was actually in London in 2006. I was staying in Russell Square, right across the street from the British Museum. And I spent an entire day going through the British Museum. It still wasn't enough time. But before I left, I'd come in the back door and I asked one of the people there, one of the curators, I said, where's the Rosetta Stone? They said, didn't you see it at the front door? I said, no, I came in that door. Oh, well, here's how you get there. It still needed a map to get to it. The Rosetta Stone was discovered back in the 1800s, I believe. I'm a history buff, and you'd think I know the exact date, but it was discovered. Up to that point, archaeologists could not interpret Egyptian hieroglyphics, and they couldn't interpret that against Sumerian writing and against Greek writing. But the Rosetta Stone wound up being the translator. Right now you have Google Translate, you have something in your phone, and you can talk to someone, it'll translate for you in another language. They had no way to understand what hieroglyphics meant, but they found the Rosetta Stone that had the same thing written in 3 different languages, word for word almost, because there's not a direct correlation in languages. And the Rosetta Stone taught them how to translate. So I want to ask you right now, do you speak multiple languages? I had 9 years of French in school. I still speak it with a Southern accent. I still say bonjour, and they'll go, you're not from here, are you? How many languages do you speak? Zig Ziglar asked this question one time, and he said, I speak 3 languages. I speak English, French, and I speak customer. You need to get fluent in your customer's language. Notice that I've mentioned associations, memberships, and I mentioned chambers today. I'm not telling you, I'm not an association director by trade, okay? I'm not a chamber leader by trade. I'm not a realtor by trade. I'm not a home builder by trade. I'm not a propane gas salesman by trade. But when I speak to those groups, I use their language, because that's the language they understand. And just so you know, today, May 28th, 2020, I am an association leader. I am a chamber leader. And today, I want to learn to speak my customer's language. And the most important thing you can do is to speak the language of each customer that you talk to. If you go in a place that's a restaurant, call their customers guests. If you go into a healthcare group, they have patients. If you go into a nursing home, they have residents. If you go to an attorney or you go to a contractor, they have clients. The more of their language you speak, the more they check in and say, hey, I want to hear you, instead of checking out. So learn the language of your customer. And I call this the dominoes difference. Here's why I came up with that. A friend of mine named Tom Winninger told me the story that he was sitting on an airplane next to a gentleman named Tom one time, another guy named Tom. There's two Toms on an airplane sitting in first class. And he noticed that the gentleman next to him had a very fancy suit. It was a $3,000 suit. The way you could tell was the buttons on the sleeve, excuse me, one was unbuttoned. Take a good glass of water here. Don't worry, I don't have COVID. I have seasonal allergies. I live in Florida. Our season's all year long. And he asked the gentleman with a $3,000 coat, he said, what do you do for a living? And the man said, I'm retired right now, but I used to be in the pizza delivery business. And he looked at him, he said, you don't look like somebody that used to drive a car with a little sign on top playing Beat the Clock. The guy said, no, 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 no. I'm a retired executive with Domino's Pizza. And he said, well, then why did you say you're in the pizza delivery business? And he said, Tom, let me teach you a lesson. Well, let me ask you a question right before we get into this. Does Domino's make a better pizza than Pizza Hut? No, they don't. Domino's admits they don't. Domino's admits their pizza's not near as good as Pizza Hut. He said, Tom, we tried for years to make a better pizza than Pizza Hut, and we just flat can't do it. We tried to change the formula. We tried to change the menu. We've changed our name. Now they're just called Domino's. By the way, part of the reason they did that was because all their bad reviews for Domino's Pizza went away when they did that. We even tried to change the box. No matter what we did, the pizza still tasted like the box. We noticed something, though, one day. We noticed that when our phone rang, no one was asking us how good the pizza is. When Domino's phone rings, what's everybody asking? How fast can you get it here? How quick is it going to be? I got 8 friends over. The Super Bowl's about to kick off. We've got the money collected. How fast can you get 3 pizzas here? He said, we learned to speak the customer's language, and the customer's language was the how fast can you get it here business. He said, that's why we created the pizza delivery business. Up till then, it barely existed. We got into pizza delivery instead of making good pizza, we make fast pizza. The delivery costs $8.95. We don't guarantee how good it is. We just guarantee when it's going to be there. And he said, we wound up cornering the market. Now everybody delivers pizza. Everybody does. Why? Domino's changed everything. They made a difference. They learned to speak their customer's language. They found out what people wanted most. So a question for you, when your phone rings at the chamber, when your phone rings at the association office, what's the number one thing people are asking you for? Have the person who answers the phone, if it's not you, have your receptionist write down categories. And what's the number one question they're asked? If 60% of the people are asking the same question, that's the business your faithful, frequent, loyal customers, prospects, if you will, members, are asking you to be in. And I'd get in that business and I'd work it better than anybody else can. The law of Chick-fil-A. I'm from the South. You knew Chick-fil-A was going to come along at any point. It was either this or Waffle House. I decided to go with Chick-fil-A. It's rumored that one day Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, was sitting in a meeting with his top executives. And the number one thing they all said was, how can we get bigger? How can we get bigger? They said, Mr. Cathy, we want this business to get bigger. Those that knew him well said Truett, because he always wanted to be called Truett by people if they could. Truett, how can we get bigger? What's it going to take for us to get bigger? And he quietly stood up and he said this right here. Look at this quote. If we concentrate on getting better, our customers will make us bigger. If you concentrate, and particularly now during shutdowns, while people aren't stirring as much outside, they're stirring inside, you need to concentrate on what you do being better. Be better at sales. Let people hear from you. I send out emails all the time. Do you know I've sent out over 300 emails in the last 24 hours individually, not in bulk? Some of you are on here because I sent you an email and said, we're doing this thing today. Some of you are, and I hate to tell you that you're not that special. I sent it to you, but you are that special because I didn't send it out in a bulk email. I said one by one. I even translated what time zone it was in. You know what? Go back to speaking their language. If you're in Montana, I said Mountain Daylight Time, what time it is. If you're in Pacific, if you're in Hawaii, if you're in Alaska time, I even invited people that are in Atlantic time. I understand that Phoenix Arizona right now, if you're in Phoenix, you're on Mountain Standard Time year round. Saskatchewan is the same way with Central Standard Time. I spoke their language. If I want to connect with people, I'm going to speak their language. I concentrated on my people and I told them, I want you to come and learn how to get better. By the way, if it hasn't dawned on you right now, this should dawn on you. Everything I'm teaching you now, I hope you're taking notes on. If you get the free audio of this when we're done, my goal for you is not just to be a better salesperson. I want you to teach this to your people. You want to blow your members away? You want to help them grow their business? Offer a seminar in how to grow their sales and teach them this. I'm not ashamed. Steal from me. I probably stole it from someone else. That's what John Maxwell says that. I'm giving you credit everywhere I know I got something from. What are you doing to get better now that will help your people get better? Teach this to them. And if you can't teach it to them, bring me in. If you ever watched the movie Tombstone, Doc Holliday, I'm your Huckleberry. And that's just my game. I'll teach your folks how to do it. The number one thing you need to do, though, is get your frequent members, not your loyal members. Loyalty means nothing to me. It's frequency. The people that spend the most money, the people spend the most time, because I'm not a fool. I know that 20% of your members are doing 80% of the work. Why? I used to be a minister in a church. I'm still ordained. I can still marry you and bury you. But I do know this, 20% of the members do 80% of the work. So it's the 20% I want to concentrate on. They're my top influencers, as John Maxwell would say. Get those frequent members to work for me. Get them to tell about the chamber or the association. Get them to word of mouth. What is the cheapest form of advertising? What's the best form of advertising? If you answered word of mouth, you were correct both times. And you know what? It doesn't cost anything for word of mouth. I'd get the word of mouth going for me right now. Get the word out there and have meetings like we're doing right now. Have online meetings with people. Give them information. Give them, hey, here's something that'll boost your sales, and give them one of these laws. And say there's 15 more where that came from. You're going to find out. Don't worry. You get the newsletter, you'll know where they all are. Help your people get better, and their customers will make them bigger. Help your people get better, and they'll make you get bigger too. And get them to work for you. Get them on your side. Get them touting you. Now, here's what I call it the law of Chick-fil-A. Not because Stuart Cathy said that, but last week, a report came out from the U.S. Commerce Department. Did you know that Chick-fil-A is now the #2 fast food chain in the country? They used to be like #5 a year or two ago. Now they're #2. You know why? Customer service. The first thing you learn when you go to work for Chick-fil-A is to say, it's my pleasure instead of you're welcome. And I'll say that in the audience. They'll all say it with me. I'll say, it's my pleasure. Here's another fun fact for you. Chick-fil-A's #1 competitor in the chicken business is KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now, Chick-fil-A is not in all 50 states. They had one store open in Canada. They used to have one in England. It's closed. So they're mainly in the U.S., and they're only in like 38 states. Chick-fil-A is only open 6 days out of the week. KFC is international. You can go to, my daughter was in Seoul, South Korea a couple of years ago. There was KFC there. They're in Tokyo. They're in Sydney, Australia. They're in Hong Kong. They're in Beijing, believe it or not. They're in Berlin. They're in Johannesburg. They're in Cairo. They're in London. They're in Paris. They're in Toronto. They're everywhere. KFC is everywhere. So Chick-fil-A is spotting them most countries in the world, spotting them several other states, and spotting them one day of the week. But did you know last fiscal year, Chick-fil-A outsold, by the way, Chick-fil-A is more expensive than KFC. Chick-fil-A outsold KFC by a 5-to-1 margin. Wow. If you don't believe me, go to your neighborhood Chick-fil-A and go through the drive-thru right now, if you have one, while there's a shutdown, and watch the way they process people coming through. They greet you at the car. They take your order. They're always friendly, smiling. They take your name, and they do your order. Then they double-check the order. Then the next station takes your money. Then the next station goes over what your order was to make sure it's right, and says it's on that table right over there. Your name, Patty. Your name, Jim. There it is right there. And you pick it up, your name on it, and they say, it's my pleasure. Please come back. I went to order, I've only been to Chick-fil-A one time during the crisis. I went to order breakfast for our son. I was at the doctor, and he texted me, could you get me some Chick-fil-A? I said, sure. He's a millennial, so he can't get on his own and do it. Anyway, they won me over with the drive-thru. I said, they've got this down to a fine art right now. Next is the law of the bundle. What's the law of the bundle, Jim? Bundle your features, what you think is important about you, what you think that you do great, with the benefits that your members think you do great. Everyone loves a bundle. I mean, how many of you have your homeowner's insurance with the same company you have your auto insurance with? Huh? So you like a bundle. I used to sell individual CDs of different talks that I do. Okay, I had 5 CDs. Now I realize most people just come up afterwards. They'd say, "Here, how much are they?" I'd say, "Well, they're $20 a piece. They're $100 for all 5 of them." Oh, so here's $100. I want everything you've got. Well, then I also have a best-selling book called Reinventing Made Easy. You say, how much is the book? I said, it's 20. They'd hand me $120, and I'd say, you know something? I'm doing this wrong. It cost me to ship the thing. So when I go to a conference, I'll say, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to bundle this. The book is $20, but if you want all 5 things I speak on, I'll throw the book in for free because it would cost me that much to ship it all anyway. And I sell a lot more because I like the idea of the bundle. I walk away with a lot of $100 bills, particularly if I'm speaking at a casino. People love a bundle. They love things that are bundled. So when someone says, I want this done for me if I join your chamber, if I join your association, I want this, I want that, I want this. Okay, what if I can do that? And at the same time, here's the other things. And you talk about what the benefits you think that are important to you. What if I asked you, why should I join your association? Well, because you get to hear our annual reports and we fight for you at the state capitol, or if you're in our chamber, we'll have a ribbon cutting for you or something like that. It's like, what if you join and get all that stuff that I just asked you questions about, and on top of that, we'll do a ribbon cutting for you. On top of that, we'll do we'll speak for you in the state legislature, and you'll be well featured in our booklet and everything. Boom. Benefits plus features equals value, and that's what this is all about today. It's all about what people value most. What you value about what you do doesn't mean squat. Pardon me, that's Southern. It doesn't mean squat to anyone except you. What your members think is of value is the most important thing in the world. That's why you have to learn to speak their language. That's why you have to learn the process. That's why you have to go through everything that you have, all these steps I've been telling you. Okay, let's play with this for a moment. You're sitting in, we'll say Panera Bread, okay, because they're kind of all over the place. You're sitting in Panera Bread. Let's say the COVID crisis is open enough where you can sit at Panera Bread, and there's a booth right behind you. So the crisis has gotten where you can actually sit in the booth next to somebody, not like Walmart where you're bumping into them all the time. And a person says to you, they hear that you work for a chamber and association, and they say, why should I join your organization? I want you right now, I don't need to see it in the chat section. I want you to write down a piece of paper. You're sitting there, someone said, why should I join your organization? What answer would you give them? I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to write that down. If it takes more than 30 seconds, we've got to have a whole nother webinar on something else because you're doing it wrong. 30 seconds. They've just asked you, why should I join your organization? What's gonna be your answer? Take about 10 more seconds. Okay. Now I get you to give it. If we're in a group, this is why I hate that I can't. I would love to be with each one of you. I would love to be a room of all of us, because there's hundreds of people in this right now, and there's going to be, just so you know, there's over 1,200 people that signed up that will be getting this in recording. So whether you're listening to me now or later, I would love to be with you. Okay, I love traveling. I don't love Delta, but I love traveling. Okay. But they say, why, if I was with you, I would say in the room, tell me, and I go around the room and I just get people, tell me, why should I join? Tell me, why should I join? I go all over the room asking people. I used to be a youth minister. I found out that teenagers, if you call on one, they think you're going to call on all of them. And it also holds their attention if you're going around the room asking them. And after about 5 or 6 people do it, and I'll sit there and say, how many of you do the same thing they did? How many of you do the same thing they did? And they'll raise their hand. And then I'll grab somebody near the front of the room and I'll say, here, I want you to ask me, why should you join my organization? So you've just asked me, Jim, why should I join your organization? And my first answer would be, what have you been doing up to now to grow your business? What memberships have you joined? Have you joined other groups, chambers, or associations that have benefited you? Tell me about them. What do they do that benefits you the most? What have you heard about our organization? What have you heard about my association? What have you heard about what we do? Do you have a friend that referred you or something? Oh, wow. Oh, he's good. I know him. Oh, what do you do for a living? What is your business? Tell me about that. Hmm. If What is the biggest challenge you've got right now in growing your business? But why do you think joining our organization is going to help you grow your business? I see. Okay. Y'all see where I'm going with that? Does everybody see this? You're y'all because I'm in the South. You see where I'm going? And remember, there's always 20 more questions where that came from. And go back to the law of Colombo. I've got just one more question. And here's my just one more question. If I could do everything you just said you needed done for you and make it affordable and give you a couple of options, would you be interested in looking at those? Yeah. Could I come by your office next Tuesday and we can sit down and talk about it? Because remember, what's the object of the first contact? Get the second. You see why this is a process? See why there's more than one law? Folks, there are 15 laws and they are unequivocal. They cannot be equal in sales. Mastering one isn't going to do it for you. You got to do them all. And understand it takes time. I'm giving just a little saying I heard the other day. We need crock pot sales, not microwave sales. That's huge. We need crock pot sales that develop over time, because the more time you spend, the deeper commitment your member will have, and the more they're going to want to stay and look for that, and they will shape your organization to helping people grow their business. Let's move on. Increase the value of your card. Now I'm going to do a couple fun freebie things for you right now. We're going to increase the value of your business card right now. We're out of the 15 laws right now. Just a couple of things I do for fun. Your business card. If you're sitting there right now and you have a business card with you, I want you to take it out right now. I'm looking at one in front of me that someone gave me the other day. On the front, I see his information. So let's go to that. On the front of the card, I see his name, I see his email address, and I see his telephone number. I don't see anything else. I don't know who he works for or anything. This is his card. He spent a lot of money on this thing. It's nice. Boy, you should feel this. One of those texture type things. It's actually two different colors. The one on the back of is a different color. Now, if you've ever gone to a networking event, the chambers have a lot of networking events, and I know that associations do too, but chambers love having networking events. You watch people giving their cards out, and the first thing somebody does is when they get your card, they know your name already, they flip it over and look at what's on the back. So let's go to that. What is on the back of your card? This guy says where he graduated from college, how much experience he's got in his field. I won't tell you what the field is. What his nickname is. And if you're evaluating the value of what he does, he would like the opportunity to visit with you, and has his initials at the bottom. Now, to me, that's a major failure. Remember when Amy introduced me at the beginning, I had told her yesterday, don't tell them what I've accomplished. You don't know if I've got a college degree or not. You don't know anything about that. That's not important. You signed in today, right now, at this present moment, we filters, because I know people are doing a lot of stuff. We have 534 people right now on this webinar right now. We will have over 1,200 that will hear this eventually. Okay. None of you signed up for this because you wanted entertainment for an hour. None of you signed up with this for any other reason than what's in it for me. How can I change the value of what I do? How can I increase the value of my sales? Okay, here's my belief. I believe this strongly. The front of your card should be your features, and the bare minimum, your name, who you work for, and how do I get in touch with you right now? Now, mine is that way, and I have a cute design. See those kind of wavy lines in the background? They're more vivid. I have them fogged up for you right now. I have them darker so you can read the writing, but I've got that on my business card right now. At the top, it says Reinvention Nation. That's who I work for. In the middle, it says Jim Mathis, has my title. It has on there, how do you get in touch with me right now? On the back of my card, this is the key. On the back of my card is the benefits to my clients. Everything I've talked about today is on the back of my card. I have 7 of those steps. Why only 7? Remember I said there's 15? Because I want you to want more. You've heard of elevator speeches. I don't believe in an elevator speech because the elevator door is open too fast and I've got too much to say. I call it an airplane speech. When somebody asks me what I do for a living, I say it in a way that their next question is, how do you do that? Or I want to know more. So Jim, you're sitting next to me on an airplane. Jim, what do you do? Well, I help people like you reinvent their businesses. Does that make sense? Boom. Okay, let's say today I'm an association leader, I'm a chamber leader. I'm sitting next to somebody on an airplane. What do you do for a living? Well, I help people like you grow their business in ways they never even imagined. Wow, how do you do that? Are you a speaker? No. Are you a trainer? No. I have a whole vast amount of people and a vast amount of resources that are all targeted to do one thing: help your business get bigger as a result of getting close to me. I'm a business growth strategist. I just happen to be working with a chamber or an association right now, but I'm a business growth strategist. That is powerful. Wow. I want the person to start asking me, how do you do that? So I said, well, tell me a little bit about your business. I'm a member of a model train club here. I'm huge on model trains. Everywhere I go, I film trains, everything. And my wife and I watch TV. And if a train goes by, we'll holler, train is a joke, kind of, you know. My oldest son and I, we're a member of model train club here. This is a bunch of older guys. Now I'm 64. I'm going to confess. Okay, I don't sound like it. Thank you for the flattery. I know I sound like I'm in my late 30s, but I'm in 64. And most everybody in the club's older than I am. And they're all ex-military people. And I decided I want to get to know them better. I've been a member of the club for 2 months, barely knew some of them. And I sat there, started asking them questions. What did you used to do in the military? Do you know the guy sitting next to me one evening at dinner started talking about, he was a Navy pilot. He was on the Forrestal when John McCain had his accident. He knew John McCain. Another guy said, that's nothing big. He said, I knew John Kerry. He said, I was running a swift boat in Vietnam and he was in my group. And another one said, I'm an ex-Marine and I fought in Vietnam. And dang, every one of them is somebody famous. I've got a guy that I've gotten real close to. He used to work for the CIA. Now, he wasn't a spy. He did their towers. CIA you have to broadcast signals all over the country. He maintains their towers. So he has security clearance everywhere he goes. But his job was to get up those radio towers because they don't broadcast over, you know, television, VHF, UHF, or AM radio. They have their own signals. They have to be protected. He maintained the towers. I'm sitting next to James Bond, who climbs a tower in a sense. I nicknamed call him James Bond, but I found out, you know, the more I found out about them, it took 2 months. And one of the guys said, what do you do for a living? Every time I look on Facebook, you're traveling somewhere. I've never figured out what you do. I said, I'm glad you asked. I told him I'm a speaker. And they said, well, we can understand that. You talk a lot. And they laugh. Now I'm the speaker. It's become a joke, but they all like me. They all accepted me because I asked questions about them. I found out what was important to them. Folks, front of your card, features, back of your card, value. Give people benefits on your card, because they're going to flip over. They may as well learn something. Also, the bottom of my card is my phone number again on the back. So when they read that, I'm a resource for them. How can we grow our association or chamber? Here's the question I want you to ask yourself when we're done today. We're going to be done in about 7 minutes. Do you take money or do you give ideas on growth and leadership? Sit down tonight. Ask yourself that question. Call a meeting of your folks. Do it online. Say, when we go into a business about one of our members, I'll go around the state or I go around the county or I go around the association or the city, the community. When I walk into a business, am I seeing somebody there to take up money or am I there to give growth ideas? I'm going to dare you. I'm going to challenge you to do something right now. I bet you can't do it. Sip of water again. I dare you to go in another business with a new idea to help someone grow their business. Just one idea. Don't give them all at one time. Don't be a fire hose. Give them a little drip. Again, we need crock pot sales, not microwave sales. Crock pot people. Teach them that, oh man, here she comes again. She's got something great for. What do you got today? What can I learn from today? I get my hair cut. I teach the guy that's cutting my hair how to grow his business. And every time I come in there, I only go like once every 6 weeks. He says, I couldn't wait for you to come. What you got for me today? I want to talk to my boss about this. My boss loves you. And they do. I try to spread this everywhere. I give this stuff away to them just for cutting my hair. And I get discounts on the hair because he thinks it's worth it for the stuff he's learning. So I'm making money off of it. I'm not spending as much. How can we grow our association or chamber? Another way, do you deliver a value that no one else does better than they do? Remember what I said. People are going to do what you do cheaper. There's always someone that will do what you do cheaper than you do it. Your goal is to create an experience that they're willing to pay for. In the last 10 years, Pontiac, Mercury, and Saturn all went out of business. So how do you explain how Lexus, Mercedes, and BMW stayed in business and flourished? It costs more. Their cars are luxury cars. How come when people said they didn't have money, it started, their sales increased? Because they created a value that people couldn't resist and they're willing to pay more for. the iPhone was introduced the year before the Great Recession began in 2007. Did you know that? Do you know what Apple has done with the iPhone every year without fail? They've upgraded it, and it costs more. Now an iPhone costs you roughly $1,200, and you just can't wait to get 3 cameras on your phone. Wow. I used to just have one, but now I've got 3. Come on. They've created something that's a value that people are saying, I don't have I can't afford to go to this place. I can't afford to join the association, but I'll pay $1,200 for a phone that does everything mine did before, except it's got a 3rd camera. Come on. Do you deliver a value that nobody else does? If you do, if you bundle that with what you think your features are, but what you think is great, the more bundling you can do, the more you can charge for it. Don't decrease your costs, now increase them. Now, that's just a suggestion. You don't have to do that. But if the market will take it, find a way that people will pay more to grow you join our chamber, you join our association, your business will grow. Do you know, as much fun as people make of Lou Holtz, everywhere that man went, for 6 colleges, he turned 6 colleges that had losing records. I know, I lived in Columbia, South Carolina, when they hired him to coach the University of South Carolina Gamecocks, who had been losing continuously. When Lou came, they couldn't wait because Lou's going to make us winners. They couldn't wait. They were the 6th school that he went to. What do you think they thought at the 5th school he went to when he already had a reputation at 4 schools within 2 years, making them winners? They couldn't wait for him to come in. South Carolina, they were just flipped out over Lou. They would scream and would stop at stoplights the day he announced he was coming. And they were going, Lou, Lou, Lou. Why? Because they knew he was going to make them a winner. Your people know you're going to make them a winner too. If when you come in, you're giving them growth and value like nobody else does. One final thing, I'll give you just a quick tip. Reinvent your voicemail. We know you're not in, and we know you're going to call us back, and we know what to do after the beep. My best friend passed away last week of cancer, and he helped me develop this. It's in my book, Reinventing Made Easy, on how to reinvent your voicemail. And Mike and I sat down one day and helped him reinvent his voicemail, and we realized that what people wanted from him most was to make money. He sold a magazine, and it went online on how you could build your construction business. He was in construction. So you home builders and all, and construction folks will appreciate this. He worked for Reed Business. And when you called his voicemail, we reinvented it one day. Instead of saying, this is Mike, I'm not in right now, leave your name, number, and a brief message, I'll get back to you. His voicemail said, this is Mike. I'm the insider's advantage, because they knew he had inside information on construction bits. So it said, this is Mike, the insider's advantage. I'm helping one of my clients make a lot of money right now. Leave your name, number, and a brief message. We'll start helping you make money next. Click. What if I called your association? What if I called your chamber and I got, this is Tammy. I'm helping one of our members grow their business with some great ideas. Leave your name, number, a brief message. We'll start making your business different next, or we'll start growing your business next. Click. People call Mike just to hear his phone ring. I told this to a group in Montana several years ago, and I got a phone call a week later from a lady there that heard me, and she said, oh, darn, you answered the phone. I said, what'd you expect? She said, Jim, I want your voicemail. I've got my whole board sitting around. I want them to hear your voicemail right now, what yours says. By the way, mine says, this is Jim Mathis of Reinvention Nation. I'm helping a client right now reinvent themselves. Leave your name, number, a brief message. We'll start working on what makes you different next. Click. People call me to hear my voicemail sometimes. People come to you to grow their businesses, and I want you to help them do it. Where are your dinosaurs? What are you hanging on to in sales that's not working for you? What do you need to quit doing today? Folks, it's a dinosaur. It's dead. It's extinct. Don't put it in a museum. Bury it. I'm a minister. I can do the funeral service for you. I'm your huckleberry, okay? My name is Jim, and I'm your friend. And I want to continue to be your friend. If you'd like to get the newsletter, the latest issue for May, text the word newsletter to 21777, or you get, that was my phone. See, they're already calling to hear my phone. Or email jim@jimmathis.com. I'll put you on the list to get next month's, which is coming out and has the process on it. It has the 15 laws of sales for June. They'll be coming out next week. So you can email me, you'll get it. And that is my phone number if you ever want to talk to me in person. Remember, folks, the secret of our success is discovered in our daily agenda. Your secret to success will be discovered in what you do every day, starting today. Thank you. Amy, thank you so much. I turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Loved it. That was so much fun. Lots of great little soliloquies there. We wanted to remind you that you can set up a no pressure webinar, excuse me, a no pressure demo. We'll send the link to that on our follow-up email. If you have any other questions about the webinar, you can contact us at marketing@growthzone.com. Once you leave the webinar today, you will receive in the follow-up email, you will receive a survey on the presentation, and we really would appreciate if you'd complete that and provide your feedback. You'll also receive the follow-up email within 24 to 48 hours with a link to view the recording of today's webinar, and for live attendees, your CAE certificate. We want to, of course, thank Jim for joining us today and appreciate all of you taking the time out of your day, and hope you have a great rest of the day and a great rest of your week. We'll talk with you soon.